is the reality which many don't really understand. Many still blame Ripple, the company, asking where is that tipping point which you stated. And the reply for that is from this one.
And there is a concept of tipping point, and the funny thing about a tipping point is it's obvious it's happened only after it's happened. And there is a concept of tipping point, and the funny thing about a tipping point is it's obvious it's happened only after it's happened.
So we, the outsiders or the retail investors, will only understand that once that tipping point is reached. So how would the new infrastructure kind of look like? We have to actually understand, right, after that tipping point. So it will be understood only after it has happened. But to get a vision about what it looks like, we can actually listen to this one.
A U.S. central bank digital currency as it is as core architecture, financial architecture for the financial system. It would be, in a sense, an alternative to the existing architecture, which is the accounts-based architecture.
So existing one will be changed using technology, and central bank digital currency circulation will be coming out. Okay, and then if this is implemented, who will be the winners of the new financial system?
To answer your question, the winners and losers, I think, will be those who can use this new technology to increase speed, to lower cost, and to address issues of inclusion. And I think the losers will be those whose business model doesn't evolve, who's wedded to that slowness, that's wedded to that expensiveness, or wedded to that exclusionary nature of the current system.
So it is about being fast, cheap, and regulatory compliant and inclusiveness, right? Including everyone. So as the central bank across the world is eyeing a similar change for their payment system, as we can actually see directly from Christine Lagarde itself. And then if we follow that, we reach here. So it shows Canada, Eurozone, UK, Nordic region, and then future strategic partnership as United States. So there are future innovation hubs and strategic partners. Now, if we actually go into one of these, say from the Bank of Canada's document, we can actually understand this. Say the Bank of Canada's document, which is a report which is updated recently, say June 29, we actually get much more information. But it's not only that, right? We actually saw different information. It is being put out by the Bank of International Settlement. So in order to understand that, we will have to go through BIS document. So here it is. And then we have to actually understand what the related research findings actually state. Welcome to the Scientific Investor channel, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. Updated Bank of Canada report shows the way forward, and before we read some of those aspects, I would actually like to take you guys through a couple of websites. Say this one is directly Ripple's website. Now it's taking a bit to load. Sorry for that. But I would like to show you guys these. You have to keep these points in mind, so it will actually give an edge for you guys to understand it easily as we go through the Bank of Canada and other documents. Now this Ripple website actually shows that as of July 15, 2019, the update shows 65,000 plus transactions per second. Now that is including the offline transaction, because online you can actually see 1,500 transactions per second. So they can actually handle throughput as Visa, and that asterisk actually shows you this towards the offline transaction. Now when you actually go into Coda Settler, now this one is like entering into the Coda Settler. First, when you actually go into the Coda Settler, they'll actually ask you whether you want to enter the settler. So just click the start and you can actually see this one. Now if you actually go step by step, they actually show you how it actually works and how the XRP network is connected to this one for settlement, because this is the aspect of payment or the transaction which we are looking at, right? So now we'll actually jump back in to the Bank of Canada website. Now as we move through this document, say let's directly jump into the page number 5. Here it actually asks desirable design features of a central bank digital currency. Now it has to actually mimic what the cash is currently offering, right? So universal acceptability is one thing. Everyone should be there accepting that one. And no intermediation fees at the point of transaction. Say you're buying a Starbucks. So you're going into a grocery store, buying your grocery and paying it. So at that particular point, there should not be any fees like cash. You are just giving cash. Because if there is a fees for using that, no one actually want to use that. Right? So that should be there. And the next one is high level of privacy. So it's something which XRP Ledger can actually provide you. Then the capacity of offline transfer. So when we talk about the capacity of offline transfer, they are talking about huge capacity, not the small one like, which other networks can actually offer. Because if we actually jump directly back into their key points, they actually talk about this privacy and robust offline capabilities. So low per transaction fees, high degree of privacy and robust offline capabilities is something they are actually eyeing it. And as we talked previously, Central Bank of Canada has been working with Ripple from a long time, right? They've been talking about this. They've been piloting their works, so they actually understand what is happening. Now this research article actually shows you, it's back from 2016, and it actually shows you this. Banks such as Santander have claimed that adopting Ripple could save them $20 billion a year. Now that is not a small deal considering a bank like Santander. Now there are giant banks, bigger banks than Santander, but if they are adopting this one, you can understand how it is going to evolve. And when we talk about wallets, which CBDC will have to provide, because as we go through this document, now that's a lot to read. If I'm to read in this video, it will take a lot of time. But if we actually read through this, you will actually understand that, the network effect is something which needs to be there so that this is implemented correctly. Everyone accepts it. So as they actually experimented with this, they actually understood different aspects, like you need a wallet, you need something on which your central bank digital currency can be holded on to. You can carry, like say for example, Ledger Nano X. You can take it with you wherever you go. You want to buy something, you can pay with that one, right? So you need that aspect with you. So Ripple has over 170,000 user wallets. Now that was back in 2016. A network value of more than 790 million and a daily transaction volume of $1 million. Think that was 4 years before. And with all this adoption and what we are seeing with the central banks, what can we think of the future? The Kansas-based CBW Bank and the Cross River Bank are first American banks to adopt Ripple. So it's not only in the European side, it's also in the American side, right? The adoption is actually booming. Now, this was back in 2016. So as we move forward, this technology brings you something which others cannot actually give you, right? Although Ripple and Bitcoin share goal of making money easier and faster to move around, they are conceptually different from each other. And that is where we can see that crypto assets are being classified differently. You can see Bitcoin is a digital cryptocurrency. Do you see the difference? Ripple is a transaction network that enables transaction in any currency. So keep that in mind, because this one is also really important, because there is a PDF which I want to talk to you guys. This one, it actually is from European Central Bank, and European Parliament actually discussed through this one as crypto assets. And you can't actually find XRP in that one, or even if you type in Ripple, you can't see that. So don't be confused if some fudster are actually coming out and saying, no, you see, they won't even consider this there. Bitcoin is there, Ether is there, but XRP is not there. They can actually say this to mislead you, misguide you. See, because if you type in ETH, you can actually see there is ETH. If you're actually going to type in BTC, you can actually see BTC. So they can actually mislead you. But with the real information, if you have it, no one can actually mislead you, because information is key. Once you have the information, you are empowered. Keep that in mind. And in Scientific Investor channel, the Scientific Investor family is staying for information, to stay educated, right? Now, we'll have to actually move further. Now we actually talked about all these payments, settlements and all. In the same document of central bank digital currency, they talk about all these stuff, and then they also talk about settlement of securities, because that is also one side of payment, right? So it's peer-to-peer, peer-to-business, business-to-business, everything is coming under transactions. So in that aspect, this one has to be kept in mind, because many are still saying Ripple, the company, is failing, and I see that in my comment section, and I'm tired of explaining the same thing again and again, that many still don't actually understand what's happening in the background. So when the uneducated individuals with poor cognitive ability come to you and push the misinformation, the FUD, you should actually stay away from them, or at least hear from one ear and leave it through the other. That would be better. And do your own research, read through these documents and try to understand what it is actually saying. See, now this is a bit old document. This is to give you a perspective of what is actually happening. See, previously the buying of securities were like huge, but now the shares buying is going down, meaning each is broken into different parts. One possible workaround to this problem, meaning the problem is not everyone can actually buy huge amount of share, right? So for a workaround of this would be to split up your order into many small orders, but this is very expensive considering the post processing or the back end processing of securities trading as of now. So right now they're actually going down, meaning previously if you are going where to buy 4,000 shares, now it is like 100 share or 200 shares. So the buying ability is actually going down, or at least they are buying in different price levels at different positions. So each is now low value transactions. If these settlements, securities trading has to be settled, it is low value transaction. Now we come back into the Central Bank of Canada details. Here you can actually see that they are also talking about low value transactions. If you go through this, cash also has a relative cost advantage for frequent low value transactions. So the low value transactions are something which cash really handles well, and if you are to replace cash, or if you are to enter into a cashless society, you need an asset which can actually deliver something similar. I hope you guys actually get the connection between what really is happening there. Now, this is a BIS document. We actually went through this one at first, but we just went through the key points, and from there. Now, when we actually read through this entire document, we have a lot of information to cover, but the key aspect here for us to understand is that the interoperability is a main thing. Say, for example, now the central bank digital currency is coming out, central bank will be on top. And then you have the wholesale, retail and all other different ledgers which should be connected to this one, so that the payment is executed well. The clearing and information related to settlement, which is the post processing of the back end processing, will also go in smoothly. And in order to that to be happened, say for example in the new system with the central bank digital currency, because the central bank digital currency will be the liability of a central bank. Say cash is now a liability of a central bank. So what are they doing? They are promoting interoperability, setting standards for leveling the competitive playing field. Have you heard this statement before? Leveling the playing field. Leveling the playing field. And how are they actually doing that? They are using interoperability, or the ability to interoperate with different ledgers using the network effect. So once Ripple says that we are building a network, and once we reach a certain level, there will be a tipping point due to the network effect. This is really playing out. This is central bank document stating the same in another direction, but we actually get the same idea. Those who can kind of, this is not even a giant dot connecting. It's kind of easy to understand how it is actually evolving from this point onwards, because they say it is a catalyst. When they are talking about central bank digital currency, they say true interoperability may not always occur without public intervention. Here, the central banks has a critical catalytic role. Now, when they actually talk about that, at the bottom they also compare Alipay, that is for China, right? So when they talk about a private payment system, Alipay, they talk about the central bank is still there for the settlement. So you still get the idea that how the central bank has to interoperate with these private institutions. So if they are on an interoperable ledger, say the CBDC is coming on top of a interoperable ledger, and then all the existing system will be built on that, or at least connected to that, think one way or another. If that is happening, then there is no issue to move forward. And this is something which I actually wanted to show the SI family, that there is something like this. Michael actually posted this one, and it really looked like, there can be something like this happening, because we previously saw that similar thing happening in the Bitcoin Cash, 51% attack. So these networks, which are still kind of legacy systems for crypto assets, still has a lot to evolve, which they are not actually evolving. Because Bank of International Settlement states, while private sector has innovation and creativity to serve customer better, central banks have pivotal role in maintaining safety and integrity. So if this is the case, I don't think they are going to consider this as a safe asset to use. Whereas when they are mentioning XRP in different documents, talking about XRP and how safe it is, how cheap it is, the rest is up to you to guess. Now, I actually went through these documents, right? So what do you actually think about how these connect between them? See, the Bank of International Settlements showing this one, and then the Central Bank of Canada document showing details about how they intended to roll out the central bank digital currency. Now, if you have a different opinion, do let me know in the comment section below. And if you like the video, please hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, or you are new here, do support the channel, hit that subscribe button. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.